I'm joined here today by the one, the only, of course, Felicia Spencer, set to fight Leah Letson on November 13th. Felicia, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on again.
Of course. And last time we talked, I believe, the question was, are they going to continue the featherweight division? Are you going to have to, potentially fight elsewhere? But it looks like now we're seeing a few more names, including Leah. It looks like they're building the division a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, things are looking good. And especially with next weekend or this coming Saturday now, we have Aspen Ladd moving up to featherweight, fighting Norma Dumont. So that's a huge, I think that, for the division, it's a huge fight. Really excited about it. I'm really happy for them both to be in that position. So.
How much are you following the division? Like, are you following along? Because, it is your job to make sure that, there is still a featherweight division for you to compete in. Are you paying attention to what's kind of going on?
For sure, I mean, it's been part of like my goal in the UFC to like just establish the division and before that in Invicta, to just be a part of establishing it and creating opportunities for, the next generation of fighters to be able to like, have a chance to compete at featherweight and to have, a chance to like get comfortable in the division, and maybe eventually they won't have to have one fight in the UFC and then get thrown with like the very best of the best, which I was happy to do, and that was what I signed up for. But I think as the division grows, there'll be more chances for development in the division, and that'll just be better for the athletes that come next.
I assume it has to be pretty shocking or pretty jarring to go from, lesser competition when you start, and then it's like, okay, now you're facing the best of the best, the elite in the division. Like, that's got to be a weird switch for you as a fighter, because we know usually it's the slow climb.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, a few fights into the division, you're kind of facing the best already, So, even Megan Anderson, she was an Invicta champion, Pam Sorensen, also Invicta champion. So I fought a few before I got to like the goats, but I fought some high level competition there too. So yeah, it's a small division. It's kind of the landscape right now, but the more people step into the division, I think it just makes it better and better for everybody, and for the fans included, because then fighters can have a chance to, to have more fights and to develop their skills even more. So it's all good.
And so you mentioned off the top Aspen Ladd, who's going to be facing Norma this upcoming Saturday, however you want to word that. Well, what did you think of that whole situation? 'Cause there were a lot of people that were critical of her getting a main event so quickly and stuff like that. I saw a lot of interesting opinions on Twitter. What did you think of that situation?
Um, I was really kind of waiting to hear what Macy's camp had to say. I haven't heard a peep, so it's kind of really hard to put it into perspective because, I mean, Aspen's camp says that the commission didn't pull the fight last weekend, so kind of like what's the story there? I mean, I understand, the weight cut issue. I mean, I haven't, had to, I haven't missed weight before, but I understand what she was going through and that kind of thing. And I mean, as far as like her weight cut, I think Aspen Ladd looked leaner in the last 6 months than she's ever looked. I mean, she's definitely not, not taking it seriously. So, unfortunately for her, she had some, monthly problems that, that deterred her a little bit in her weight cut, and it wasn't a huge miss. So I don't really hold it against her too much. I think she was always cutting too much weight anyway. I think she's naturally a featherweight probably to begin with. So, kudos to her to be cutting that much from the beginning. So yeah, I'm excited for her. I think it's a great opportunity. I think it's a move in the right direction for her career as far as like having that featherweight option. Again, I was kind of hoping that Macy's camp or Macy would have posted or put a statement out about it, about what their train of thought was for why the fight didn't happen and that kind of thing. So no, I think more power to Ladd, and it's a big fight for both Dumont and Ladd. I think a winner of this fight could potentially just be the next in line for Amanda. So it's another way to Amanda.
I assume for you, when you see that, another person enters the division, I think we're at maybe 6, 7 people. You must be looking at it like, yeah, we're eventually going to fight just based on the way the division looks.
Yeah, I always assume if there is a featherweight that I will fight her eventually. Like I mean, it's always just like been an option. I mean, honestly, all the bantamweights, I always assume if they're a big bantamweight, they might move up, they might stop cutting so much weight, or whatever the case may be. So I've always kind of had that since since I was an amateur fighter, just looking forward at that. But at the same time, I'm more and more I'm just like happy to see the division evolving and growing.
You see a lot of people mention that, more bantamweight should move up, and it's like, you have 10 extra pounds you don't have to cut. What do you think that reason is for people, being hesitant to move up? Is it the size? Is it Nunez? I mean, what is it that's making people hesitant, you think?
You know, I'm not really sure. I think they want to have maybe a size advantage at bantamweight for the people that they're fighting, before they get to a banda. Maybe they think that they'll have a size advantage there. I don't know. Again, like my train of thought always competing was not to kill myself before a fight, and I still cut weight. It's not like I don't, but I don't put myself at death's door either to do it. And I always felt like my skills were good enough where if I had a size disadvantage, it wouldn't matter, height or weight or none of it mattered. I mean, I took a fight at 170 as an amateur just because I wanted to fight, so it never deterred me to be in the heavier weight classes because I feel like I'm good enough to handle whatever gets thrown at me. So.
So speaking of things getting thrown at you, let's talk about your next fight. You're taking on Leah Letson. What was your train of thought when they came to you and said, this was the next opponent for you?
I actually was expecting her for the last few fights. I know she was, but at the same time, I know she was going through some health issues. So probably a year ago or 2 years ago, I thought I was going to be, matched up with her. And, I think she's a very well-rounded opponent, and she's very motivated, and, she's in the armed forces. So, all the respect to her. Can't, have nothing negative to say about her. I'm really happy for her. She seems really happy that she's able to train and fight again, and yeah, it'll be a great fight. I think it's a great matchup. She's got a good record. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to detrack her her path to the title, but yeah, I have nothing bad to say about her. I think she'll be a real tough opponent, and I think that'll bring out the best in me.
So what does a win here do for your career at this point?
At this point, this wins just puts me back in the victory column. It's I've now I've dropped two in a row, so I've kind of a new territory for me, and I'm just focused on this fight, and really nothing ahead of this fight is even fathomable. Like I have to win this fight, and that's really all I'm focused on. Is a more so for myself. Like I need the win. I need a good performance, and that's gonna be what helps me sleep at night.
With that mentality of I have to win this fight, the two in a row and stuff like that, what does that do for you pressure wise? Because we know there's a lot of pressure going out there regardless. Does that add extra for you going into this one?
Um, you know, Another way I said it probably makes you think it does, but ultimately, like win or lose in this sport, I've kind of come to learn, this sport it's a sport, it's an opportunity, it's something that I value a lot, but it's not the most important thing, in the world. And a loss is, if I go out there and I put on my best foot forward, then I can't be, I'll still walk away and be fine, So, would I like to be proud of my performance when I walk away and have the victory? Absolutely. Like that's what motivates me in the gym right now. It's what's making the camp feel exciting to get that, maybe even a win bonus, if something exciting happens. But ultimately, a failure in the octagon is not like the worst failure I'll have experienced in my life. So it is what it is.
We were talking about the division earlier, and this big rumor is that Kayla Harrison is finally going to make the jump to 145. A lot of people are saying we could see her in the UFC next year or something like that. What do you think when you hear stuff like that? Because obviously, someone like that makes things very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I could see her in the UFC. I could also see her staying with the money train and continuing with PFL. So either way, she's going to make the right choice for her career, and she's an exciting fighter. She brings a lot to the table. A lot of people want to see her fighting in the UFC, so maybe she'll make the jump whether the money's there or not, but yeah, I think it's all good. I love seeing the division grow, and especially with the kind of talent that it's getting right now, or that the lightweight division has in the PFL right now. Some of those girls are, Clarissa included. it's nice to see the attention brought to the higher weight classes, that the skills are there, and that they're competitive. And it's yeah, I'm really happy for her and her success, and I'm excited to see her next move as well.
All right, so I have one last question for you. It's an obvious one. It's an easy one. Most people answer it the same way, but how do you see yourself getting your hand raised against Letson on November 13th?
I would say well, maybe not a submission, but a finish probably on the ground, like a TKO or a submission. I'd love the first round, probably second round, because she's pretty tough. So, I could see a second round submission or TKO coming out of this one.
Well, there we go. Well, we look forward to it. It's going to be a great fighter, and I have to tell you that thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Well, no problem. Thank you for having me on.